Hello, YouTube family. I had a request, and I know that some people that I've spoken to in the past have asked about my methods of making content, mobile content, and I can give you guys a quick tutorial how I use my iPhone and how I use iMovie to make all my content, unless I'm clipping in some live streaming, which I'm not going to go over, or I'm clipping in some live recording. That's very simple. Just take a screen recording off of your computer, email the file to yourself, and then upload it to your phone, and then apply it to the method that I'm going to show you here. That's the gist of it, but if you're curious. But in this video, I'm going to go over the actual method of adding things to the program, adding your voice, using some of the features that the app has, because I have been using the app for quite a while now. I can't even remember if I watched a tutorial or not. I believe I did, but the tutorial was the guy was showing photographs or like making like montage of photos off your phone, which is totally great and fine. But if you're a content creator or if you want to get started, this is how I did it. And I'm getting better and better at using the app. I'm understanding how much capacity my phone needs and things like that. So I guess we'll get started here. Grab a pen, a piece of paper, take screenshots, whatever you need. And I apologize if anything's blacked out. It's because I'm doing this on my content phone, and there may be some things that I want to hide from you guys because it's up and coming on my channel. The first thing you need to know is how to use the programs you're going to be using. So iMovie is available on the App Store. Go ahead and download it as a free program. It's credited by a lot of people. I mean, lots of people use it. A lot of YouTubers, big YouTubers, say that's what they use on their computer because it has a PC version as well. The PC version it took me a little while to understand how to use it, and I just prefer the mobile version. So the next thing you're going to want to know how to use is your photo app. Your photo app. Did you know you can crop photos and video? Did you know you can add text to photos? You can mark it up. You can do all sorts of things with your photos. I'm not going to go over that. You need to know how to use the photo app. If you don't know how to use the photo app, then please go visit a tutorial on how to use a photo app. The other program that you're going to want to use, not necessarily the program, but feature on your phone, is the screen capture, not just taking a screenshot, depending on the phone you use. All of these methods should be able to apply to an iPhone 12, which is my other device, but I don't use it to make content. The screen capture, like actually screen recording, has an option when you screen record to add your voice. I know what I want to make about that. If you're doing in-game captures, you gotta change your in-game settings, the game music, the character voices, the background effects, and all that stuff. If you've seen my previous videos, I've mentioned that sometimes I go in, I record stuff, and then it's after the fact I realize that the recording didn't catch my voice very well. So make a test recording. I've learned this. Make a test recording, see how the audio is coming through, see how your voice is coming through. Or if you're like me and you just really want to push your content out because you're strapped for time or whatever, you got to make do. You might have to do some captions, or you may have to do a re-recording of your voice. So that's where you'll add your voice in the iMovie. So as long as you know how to use these programs, guys, we can get started. Your first thing you're gonna want to do is open up iMovie. And when you open iMovie, I think for the first time, there shouldn't be any files or anything. There might be a sample video or something like that. Just don't worry about that. Hit that plus icon and you're going to want to start a new project. Now, you can add multiple pictures at a time, or you can add one video at a time, two videos, whatever you like. It's got the check mark to check it off, meaning it's being selected. You're gonna add it, and you can then press the plus symbol there to actually add it to your new movie, your creation. I suggest when you're starting to use the app, only use one video or one photo at a time. So I'm just using a screen grab of the actual iMovie here for demonstration purposes here. We've also got the help button up here, which tells us everything we can do. Take your time with this app. Don't go too fast. I haven't had it crashed on larger projects. I've had it just kind of like weird out where I've been on one area of my image and I've pressed something weird and it's gone over there. Also with photos, it's a little different. With photos, if you tap on it anywhere, it's going to put you either to the front or the back, because you can't really edit a photo's frames Photo only has one frame, so this is just one stretched out frame. So we're positioning the start, we're positioning the front of it. And this is the Ken Burns effect. The Ken Burns effect will start in one spot and then end in another spot. And so as the movie plays, this is our play button up here. That's how you get that awesome scroll effect. Now, it will default always putting that on an image. As soon as you add a photo, it's going to add that effect. So you can just disable it like that, but then you got to adjust how your image is set. So we can just pinch to zoom. So 2 fingers, whichever 2 fingers you like, finger and thumb, you know, and you can pinch and zoom. You can adjust it wherever you like, or back to the Ken Burns. So we want to position our start. Let's start it at the top and let's go to the bottom. Let's squeeze it out so it's the same size as the top there and scroll down. Now, let's go back to the beginning. So you can press this when you're on a photo. You can press this to go back and forth to the start or the front, or sorry, the start or the end of the photo. Or you can, if you're on a different frame, you can press this to go to the start of that frame or that piece that you're working on right here. So we're not going to add any more media right now. I'm going to go over some of the things you can do to the photos here. So let's check this out. So see, it's scrolling. Depending on how long this is, so it's 6.5 seconds. If it's very, very long, what's going to happen is it's going to move slower. If it's very, very short, so you can shorten it from the front, or as long as I don't have another frame here, I should be able to, you can shorten it from the back, and it's going to go super fast. So keep an eye on that. That's how you control your speed on that. There's no speed on a photo because it's only a single frame. We're just making it, we're adding effects to it. Okay, you can duplicate it here. You can delete that duplication if you want. Whatever you're highlighted, the yellow you're highlighted on, that's what you're working on. Again, you can add another image if you wanted to, but we're not going to do that. You can add some text. So some of the things I noted with text too, if your frame that you're working on, or if the portion that you're working on here is very short, if you put in one of these sliding effects or the pop-up and things like that, it's going to cut your video kind of weird. It might even change the whole video. A very recent video I put out, Punishing Grey Raven, when I uploaded it to YouTube, my quality on all of my background photos were like, not all of them, just the ones I took off the internet, like screen grabbed, were messed. It was, anyways, it's just, you know, it's a thing you learn. So some of the things I'm learning with this app here. So keeping an eye on things like that, how adding some effects needs some time. Like, is 3.2 seconds enough time for this to slide in and slide out, because it's got added effects at the front of the title text. Boom, and then it slides out or fades out. So it needs time to do that. When you're in the text here, so this is how you choose. If you don't want text on, if you accidentally press text on there, you hit none to clear it off. As soon as you hit text, you see that little down here inside this portion that I'm working on. Do you see that text icon there, that T? That only appears if there's text in there. So if you're not sure why text appeared, find that portion that has the T there. And then you could just, oops, I didn't need title text here appearing out of nowhere. Okay, because I've accidentally done that. Now, also a thing on these. So like this one has 2 lines. But is it standard? Standard has 3 lines. It's when you first touch it, it's going to appear like this. There's a line hidden. Okay, so you can move the text around. You can also pinch to zoom and size it. While you're in this text button here, you can't adjust text when you're on the cut button. You need this button here. Okay. In the text here, when you're editing it, just hit edit. Blah blah blah. Done. If you want to edit again, it's going to default to the back here. Kind of, you know how apples are. Try to find your edit line there. It's kind of weird. Okay. But you can add emojis. You can do all that stuff. That's how I add all my emojis and stuff like that. Or I take an emoji clip and I'll show you how to add green screen and picture-in-picture and things like that in a bit here. And you can also do your leave it on for, okay, there's a sound effect option. Don't use it. The sound effects that are added to all of the frame changes, the fades and things like that, and the text are weird. Don't add sound effects to your text. Don't add sound effects to your fade ins, fade outs, and any of your transitions. Okay, your full clip duration on your text would mean that the whole time that this is playing, the text is going to sit there, which is very handy if you have something that's more than a few words. It's more than a few words, leave it on for that whole duration, unless it's like your clip is like fucking 30 seconds long. You don't need blah 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 on the screen that whole time. And see, it still fades in and it'll still fade out. Okay, but that's god awful too long. You can take that off. You can also change, because it's always defaulting uppercase or caps, you can change that, and then you can start actually writing in lowercase. Okay, you can also change the color, blah 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 blah. You can do whatever color you like. You can pick up a color that you were like, oh, I want it to match the background, fucking terrible gray there, awful, but you know, it works. Maybe you wanted to add something that looked like it was part of that. I use iMovie to edit photos. I use it to add layers. So if you don't have a photo editing program, like, you can get really creative with some of your standard base apps. Like, I've used Microsoft Word and Google Docs to actually make emojis. So that I'm never going to make a video showing that. It's way too long. But anyways, that's the gist of adding text. You also got your font options. Lots of font options. Way more than I have on. Like, look at this. I should start using this font in my videos. But then you got to do it every time you add text. So that's why you'll usually see the same font on mine, unless you change these settings here. So that's fun stuff, right? Very fun stuff. If you wanted to, okay, it auto saves. It automatically saves all the time. If you ever wanted to hit done, it'll just go back to your main project screen, where you can start a new project or review some other projects you were working on, or change the title of your movie. Now, the things you can do with a photo, like other than adding that effect, you can't clip it because, again, it's one single frame we're working on, but you can add some filters to it to give it some effects here. You see how there's a gear now down there? As soon as I clicked off of everything, so I'm highlighted, which means I'm editing. Like, if I click off, I'm just clicking in the dark gray area around it. You've got that cogwheel. Two things that I always add to my movies is fade in from black and fade out from black. That's how I get my transitions to be a nice fade. If you don't want that on, you don't have to. It's just going to be a nice clean cut between your transitions are going to be cuts between the fades and things like that. So that's up to you. But I also like how at the beginning of the movie it fades in, and at the end of the movie it fades out. So I try to always have those effects on. That also helps when adding sound. So some of the other things you can add other than a photo would be sound and things like that. So moments and videos and photos and all that stuff. Your backgrounds, if you had a background photo, or if you wanted, or if you had a background photo, you'd use your photos. But if you wanted like a solid color or gradient, things like that, I've never used these. But I guess I could start using this for my green screen instead of actually putting, like, I have a screen grab of my green screen. I just use that. Here's your audio. This is not your voiceover. This is your soundtracks. There are included audio tracks. I use so many of these. You'll recognize some of these names if I some of the videos I do put in the credits. I'm sorry if I haven't put them in all of them, but they have some great soundtracks. This is all free music, so you can use all of these in your videos. All of these, and they keep adding new ones. I think the dots there are the newer ones. They have Hans Zimmer. Like, Hans Zimmer has stuff on here, so that's great. There's your music, which I'm not going to click on, and sound effects. This is where you can add if you swear a lot. If you just wanted a weird sound effect added, let's put in bubbles. See, we can click that, and we can click the plus. It's going to add this, and it's going to. You can make it really long. You can make it really short, and it just literally cuts off. The neat thing, though, that they have in audio in the soundtracks, though, is that these soundtracks, they're very interesting. The way they have them fade in and fade out, some of them work really well with movies. You got to play around and find the right tune for your movie. or for your stuff. When you add your let's go back to audio. Let's add a soundtrack here. Let's just add, is this okay on our ears? Yeah, this is okay. I've used this one before. So when you add it, it fades in. This is automatic. This is a background track. If we wanted to bring it into the foreground, you click that. Boom, it's blue. Anything in green is background. Background tracks take precedent in the line here. What I mean by that is if I start adding more audio tracks, and if I hit background on an audio track, so let's add in our sound effect. Let's add in some bubbles. It's in our foreground. If I hit background on this, we got bubbles, right? What happened to our other one, right? You can't have two backgrounds. What happens if you try to add a background, if there's a short background? So let's go back to our sound effects here, evergreen. And let's give it some space here. Cut it down and add in our sound effects. We got bubbles. And let's add this to our foreground, or sorry, our background. It adds right behind. So you can't cut in different backgrounds, but it's got to have the room to do it. You got to cut it down. Either stretch out your frames or your scene, and then add in your effect, or shrink. You can also cut. You can split, cut. You can move it around. You can select it, and this is exactly the same for voice. So I don't even really have to do too much showing you how you can change your voice around. This is exactly the same thing, but your voice will always record in the foreground. So camera would be to actually take video. It's not for your photos, it's to take video. And here's your voiceover. So you have voiceover. This pops up here. You can hit cancel, you can hit record. Now I wonder how this is going to work with me screen grabbing this. If it's going to echo or okay, this is going to be interesting. This is my first movie. It's the best movie I've ever made in my entire life. Bye. Boom. So you can cancel, which will clear it off. You can retake it. It'll start at the beginning. You can review it. You can listen to it, or you can accept. I get in the habit of always hitting accept, unless you actually do have to retake. And just like the background music, you can move it around. I need to adjust it, or I need to clip it. Let's say I had something like a cough. You could split, and you can split again, and then you can take that cough out of there, and that's why, or let's say you got to do dishes, or something. So that's that. And if you make a mistake, you can redo or undo, but you can only undo to a certain point. After that, it's like you're stuck. Like I said, there's an autosave, but there's no undo. I think is you can only undo by, I want to say 5 just to be safe. I try not to undo more than 3 steps. So let's check this out, guys. I can add another photo in here. Should we add something else before we listen to our voice? Let's listen, because we should preview while we're working. This is my first movie. It's the best movie I've ever made in my entire life. Bye. And that's it. Okay, so if you needed to clip something like I showed you, you can clip that. You can split it. If I wanted to add this to the background, as long as it had room, it would pop right there probably. I'm just going to assume. Let's check it. Boom. See? Let's undo that and go back to the front of that frame there. Okay. You can duplicate it if you wanted to have double voices. Listen to this. This is my first movie. It's the best movie I've ever made. Doesn't echo too bad because it's exactly laid on. Let's shift it over a little bit. Let's see what happens. This is my first movie. It's the best movie. Craziness, right? Let's just delete that. That's weird. Okay. And you can change the speed of it. Okay, you can also change the speed of videos. When you put a video in, you can change the speed. If you wanted to grab something off the internet, so thanks Google. Let's just go to images. We're just going to go to this one here. The usual. Just add it to add whatever. I guess at this point now, let's go ahead and add a little video clip. I think I took a screen recording. So you go to video. You got your recently added favorites, all that stuff. You got iMovie Media. So like I was saying at the beginning about uploading files, you want to, when you email it to yourself, save it as a file to your iPhone. Don't save it as a video. Save it as a file, because you can open up in, you can actually open up here, files, okay? But anyways, video is what we want because that's actually on our phone. You can click all or recently added, and I'm going to have to block lots of this out. Ahead and select our most recent video that I made for you guys. And scroll back to the front there so we can see. And now it has audio attached to it. Unlike a photo, it has audio attached to it. So as soon as we click on that, so you click on this, right? We only had our text and we had our cut. Now we click on here. We have way more options. We can still add our filter. You can still add text. You can change the volume now because it has audio attached to it. You can change the speed. You can freeze it, and it's when you select freeze, it only freezes a certain part of it. If you ever wanted to reset it, you could reset it. Freeze can be stretched out to create a longer freeze for you, so it stays on that scene longer. When you cut a video, it's going to do the same thing as cutting your voice. You're going to split, and there you go. Automatically cuts like that. But let's say we wanted to fade to that. We can fade it. So you just select that. See, we've got that yellow highlight. We can fade it. We can wipe to the right. We can slide to the right. We can do a dissolve. The theme is a dissolve, or none. None is just a straight cut, so there will be no delay. The thing with freeze too is if you have other things inlaid on top, your freeze is going to go from this frame to here, black. Okay? Black is right in the middle. Then the start of that next scene, okay? So you have to be aware of these lines. Same thing with here, the black or the full fade, 50 on that, 50 on the right side, 50 on the left side is right smack dab in the middle. So if you decide to add something on top of your video, like let's say we wanted to add this guy. So what we're going to do here is you can simply add it to the video. And it's, again, another photo. You can do all those same edits. Or, starting at, let's say here, we wanted to add him as a cutaway, which means it's just going to simply cut the visuals to that photo. Okay? A picture-in-picture, you guys know what that is. A split screen, it's going to split horizontally or vertically, however you like. Or a green-blue screen. So cutaway goes on top of your main scene there. We can only have a the main layer there of our photos and videos, and then one overlay. Text is not an overlay, it goes on the scene. So we can have one overlay. So it's going to simply just cut to that. It's not going to show anything underneath, basically. Okay, it's not showing anything underneath there. You can select that and now change it. So we can change it to blue and green screen. Blue or green screen. It's going to cut out. Oh, Lord. It's fucking cursed. It's so cursed. Okay, but anyways. And then we've got our picture-in-picture. You guys know what that is. And here you can move it around. I don't play around with blue and green screen. I use it for a simple blue and green screen. There are options where you can cut out. I'll show you here. Where you can actually cut out where you want your blue and green screen to be. But that's about it. And you can kind of do the strength, you know, if you wanted to, if you had something that was just slightly green, you needed to change it a little bit there. But I don't mess with that. I just use straight blue and green screen, or blue green screen. I have to change my avatar because she's got too much green in her. I noticed how invisible she was in my last video. Picture-in-picture, I just went over, but I'll go, I didn't show you guys can move it. You can size the box. It comes with a frame, but you can take that frame off. If you have a PNG, which has an invisible background or a transparent background, you need the frame off, okay? GIFs and stuff like that, I have real trouble getting working. I think it only works if it's so many frames or something. So you'll have to experiment with that more. But once I have like my image that I want, I size it up, or I zoom in, I zoom out. Like arrows, a lot of my arrows I have to size. Then I size it wherever I need, and I kind of preview a little bit to make sure it is where I want it to be, and it's good to go. And if you put something with audio in it, like let's say we wanted to pop our video on top of this, just because we're overlaying a million things in this video here. We take our video, we can again cut away, picture in picture, split screen, audio, audio only, just the audio that is in that, or green screen. But let's say we wanted to do cutaway. It does come with audio, so we can actually adjust that. It's muted because the audio wants to be here. Okay, so you can adjust where your audio is coming from. I'm gonna get rid of that because it's just too much happening there. And that is like, that's it. If you wanted to add the split screen here, so if I wanted to, like, yeah, it's so simple. You can zoom in on each of them. Just select, see, I'm on yellow there, so I can zoom in on my video, just like you can zoom in on the photos, or you can zoom in on your Zoom, and you can zoom in on your whichever your overlay you're working on there. Okay, you can adjust it. Photo, can you clip it? No, you can't clip a photo. But if I overlaid a video, could I clip it? Yes, you can clip a video. Okay, so I talk to you like as like kids, but I'm just hoping that you guys will take a lot from this and be able to use the iMovie like I do, because it's fun. It's good times, you know. So we're just gonna add one more thing here. Okay, guys. So when your video is done, you got all your edits in there. I've got a fade out. The one thing I should note too about playback is, let's say, okay, so we've already put some audio and stuff in here. Let's say I needed to add a voiceover. This has audio. You need to mute that sucker. When you start doing your voiceover, you're going to have playback. You're going to have a lot of playback happening. So, or echoes, and you're going to have multiple voices and things like that. Some of my earlier content had those issues. So just be aware of those things. You can always slide it. It goes all the way up to 500, guys. Sometimes I have to adjust my audio because depending when I take my audio cuts here when I do my voiceovers. But that I think that's it. That's like the gists of this app. When you're done your video, I don't want to cut any of that, but yeah, I'll cut it. I'll just cut it right here. We cut that down. You hit done. Done. My movie is 47 seconds long. I don't think I can show you guys the process of uploading because I think it's going to cut out either one of my programs, but let's try it. You're going to want to go ahead and hit that share button. I'm not going to share because I know my fucking contacts are going to show and I don't want to block everything out in this video. But you hit that share there and you go save to device, save video. You're going to save it to your device. iMovie needs to stay in the foreground. You cannot have any other apps running. If you have a Bluetooth device that is going to die, turn it off before you start uploading because it will interrupt the upload process. Depends on how many layers you have, how many text you have, the fade-ins, the fade-outs, any transitions. If you have overlays, all of that stuff matters as far as you're uploading. Some of my uploading for a 30-minute video can take upwards of 25 minutes to upload and it fails. Okay, I've had to actually do screen grabs of my completed project because I just had too much stuff going on, and that's why I stopped doing heavy content. I try and minimize as much text as I'm using in overlays. I will create multiple movies and then put them into one project. I will use iMovie to create one layer where I have my audio and my video. Then I take it to a new project and then add my text. Then I take it to a new project and add my overlays, simply to avoid the crashing and to bring you guys better content. So I'm trying to learn a lot about how to process things, how to cut, how to edit. Take advantage of your photos that you have on your device. Do as much editing on the photos as you can. Do as much pre-production as you do post-production. Taking the time to understand what you're screen grabbing. Like I had mentioned, all of the screen grabs that you take from games, checking that the audio works and things like that. So that's it. Once it's uploaded, you go to YouTube, press that plus, upload your masterpiece, Give it a great title. Give it some tags. Don't abuse the tags, but give it some good tags. And send me the link. Okay. Hit me up in Discord with the link. Don't post them in my channel because I have bots that won't allow it, I don't think. And yeah, good luck. Hopefully it works out. If you have any questions, if I missed something in this video, let me know. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed already, because I love my family. Take care of yourselves and each other. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.